Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another movie review. This time it's going to be Jumanji The Next Level. Jumanji The Next Level stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Karen Gillan, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Nick Jonas, Aquafina, Danny DeVito, and Danny Glover. After a while of living a normal life, Spencer realizes he wants to go back and have another crack at living as Dr. Bravestone and manages to get himself sucked back into the game. His friends realize what has happened and they task themselves with going into the game after them. But unexpectedly, two estranged friends in Danny DeVito and Danny Glover mistakenly get sucked into the game instead. So basically, guys, I like this one pretty much as the first one. It is essentially the same movie. It's just them going into the game and, trying to find. They just follow the quest, go through the different levels, and they solve and win the game. So that's basically the entire plot of the movie. Really what the focus of the movie is the different characters and the way that they feel toward each other, and that is kind of fleshed out throughout the entire runtime of the movie. The entire draw of the movie for me, at least for the first one, was seeing these actors play in these kind of off-type characters as they did. The Rock was kind of like a meek, scared guy, and Jack Black just played a girl and all that. I thought that was really good, and that gets played up again in this one with, obviously, The Rock. If you've seen the trailers, The Rock is playing as Danny DeVito's character, a grumpy old man, and Kevin Hart is playing Danny Glover, which I thought was really good. Honestly, whenever I went into the movie, I thought he was going to be the worst part of the movie. I thought he was going to be super annoying, but he ended up being like one of my favorite parts of the movie, honestly. He was really funny. I thought that he brought a lot to the character. Really showed that he's a pretty good actor, as well as The Rock, and of course Jack Black is great. And unfortunately, Karen Gillan, basically she plays the same character in this one. Basically the whole way through the movie, so she doesn't really get a lot of different character acting moments, but she was great in this one. She was great in the first one. She's great in this one too. The movie is beautiful looking. It was beautiful in the first in rendition as well, but with the jungle scapes and everything. But this one it's incredible. They're in the desert, and especially the mountainous snow capes that they were on. I thought that was magnificent looking. It's a really beautiful, pretty movie to look at. Some of the animals are blatant CG, so that is to stand out a little bit, but it doesn't draw anything away from it. It was kind of the same in the first film. So I just really enjoyed the way that it looked. The colors were vibrant, and it was just incredible to look at. So it's a little hard to talk about the rest of the movie without talking about some spoilers. So if you'd like to know my rating of the movie, just jump to this point right here, and that's your warning. So here we go. So we all know that whenever they all got sucked into the game the first time, and at least if we see the trailers, we know that obviously the four main characters are taken up by Martha, Fridge, and Spencer's grandparent and his friend Milo. But we don't know who Bethany gets sucked into, and it turns out that she doesn't get sucked into the game at first. She is just kind of witnessing everybody getting sucked into the game at first, so she has to deal with that, and that was a little interesting, especially what happens with it. She goes and talks to Colin Hanks' character from the first film, Alex. He was stuck in the game for like 20 years in the first film, but so she goes and talks to him, and they manage to find their way into the game. And they get a bunch of new characters, which is kind of strange because Spencer is inhabited in a different character in Aquafina whenever he's the first person to get sucked in, and she wasn't even like an option in the first film, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. But they just I feel like they needed to get more characters for everybody in the cast to be put into a character. And that's kind of like a bit of a joke whenever Alex and Bethany show up. Alex is Nick Jonas, and he's like the aviator guy again. But Bethany is trapped in this horse character. I guess there's a character that's just a horse. So that was a pretty good moment of comedy, I thought. But the real meat of the movie is basically just the relationship between Danny DeVito's character and Danny Glover. They're kind of working their baggage out with each other. Basically, they used to own a restaurant, and then Danny Glover wanted to retire, but Danny DeVito didn't, and they ended up selling their restaurant and all that stuff. So they had they had to reconcile all of their differences, and that was a bit of a touching moment. And even later on in the film, Spencer and Martha have they were a bit of estranged after they were like on a break from their relationship, and they flesh all that out, and I thought that was a bit of a touching moment too. It was nice seeing the new characters in Aquafina. She was like a lockpick, like a rogue type. She was a cool character. I thought she was a nice addition. And the horse obviously was pretty funny. Another aspect of the film that they introduced was the characters being able to switch their player character, which I thought was pretty interesting. It opened up an opportunity for the cast to even play even more different characters, and I thought that was really interesting. Basically, they submerge themselves in a pool of water, and they touch each other, and they come out. The player characters swap. And that was an interesting dynamic that they used to kind of heighten some tension and a bit of a resolution for each other. So it was great seeing Jack Black play like 3 or 4 different characters in this, and everybody else play their different characters. Aquafina ends up playing Uncle Eddie, who's Danny DeVito's character, and I thought that she did a better job than The Rock did as playing Danny DeVito. She was pretty great as Uncle Eddie, a grumpy old man in this rogue-like body. I thought that was pretty good. The villain, as always, is inconsequential. It's just a roadblock for the characters to go through. So, I mean, I didn't really care much for them. You're not supposed to. It's just, a video game character. So it's whatever. It really doesn't matter. He was played by Rory McCann from Game of Thrones fame, the Hound. So, I mean, it was nice seeing him in the film. But again, he's just a roadblock for the characters, just something for them to get past, just a plot device, really. So there's no character in him. He's just, a mustache twirling villain, if you will. So, not very compelling there, but it was nice seeing him there. He's an intimidating force, if nothing else. And they kind of set up, I'm sure that you were expecting this, they set up for a sequel movie at the very end, unsurprisingly because of how successful the first one was. I anticipate this one to be just as successful. They set it up in a way that is a little bit different than these films are so far, though. They set it up so that it's more akin to the original film, where the Jumanji aspects of the game are brought to the real world, so our world. They deal with some ostriches earlier in the film, and it's not really an end credit scene, but the last bit of the movie is a bunch of ostriches running down the street, and they all see what's going on, and they're like, they kind of freak out and everything. So I don't know how I feel about this one. I kind of liked the way that this was going. I'm not opposed to seeing more sequels to this, because I do enjoy the movies, but I liked kind of the whole aspect of them going into the video games. I really liked that, and traversing everything, but it kind of makes sense that they're bringing it to our world again, because the only real thing that you can do whenever you take your characters into the video game, like it has been for the past 2 movies, is just deal with their relationship problems. And at this point, all of their relationship problems are solved. I mean, you could obviously, bring something up and have something impede them again, but then it would just be, again, the same old movie for the 3rd time in a row. So I can understand why they're doing that. I just hope that it's not too similar to the original film with Robin Williams. I just don't want them to make the same movie again. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this one, though, so I'm excited to see it in any case. I do have one thing to say, though. At the ending of the film, after the climax and everything, they all switched bodies, and Danny Glover's character gets put into the horse character, and whenever they have a chance to leave Jumanji, they've beaten the villain, and they're leaving Jumanji. He decides to stay in the game as a protector of the village or whatever, and it just sunk with me. It's like, okay, you can stay in Jumanji. I don't have a problem with that. That makes sense. But because he was dealing with some illness problems, and it was stated that he was probably going to pass away soon. But so he's going to stay in Jumanji. Okay, that's fine. But why would you want to be in the horse character? The horse can fly, but why would you be in the horse? You have that pool of changing people elixir that you could get. You could put any one of the characters that you see in front of you as them. You could be any of them, and you choose to be the horse. It just doesn't make any sense to me. He's going to live the rest of his life for infinity, indefinitely, as a horse. That seems like a torture to me, honestly, but that's just my own opinion. But anyway, guys, I really liked this one a lot. I liked it probably a little bit more than the first one. We'll see how it goes from here. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. All right, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Look forward to more reviews from me very soon. And as always, thanks for stopping by.